What's up guys, it's Roger and welcome back to the channel, and today I'll be teaching you how to use your blink in Trials of Osiris on the Distant Shore. Now this is a pretty fun map to me honestly, but this weekend has been kinda on and off. We do have freelance, so that's great, but at the same time the meta right now is probably in the worst place it's been in, I don't know, in the last year, so it's kinda hard just to play the game in general right now. The healing from Solar 3.0 with Classy Restoration is making the game very annoying to most, I think, and even if you choose to abuse that yourself, I know the game can still be quite annoying because everyone else is using it at the same time, but not us. No, there are a select few, and we will still keep using our blinks because we actually have nuts bigger than a centimeter across. All that being said, why don't we go ahead and I'll show you what build I'm using. So at first I actually did have my crafted Austringer on, but hand cannons on this map, although they can be effective, most people right now are staying back in pulse rifle and sniper range, so you kind of have to combat that or it gets really difficult. If you want to make a hand cannon work on this map, you need to be ready to keep flanking, and if you go for flanks every round, you could definitely get some good hand cannon plays, but I honestly prefer pulse rifles anyways, so I have no problem using a pulse rifle. So let's look at the one that I'm going to be using. So I opted for the Peace of Mind. Now this is a rapid fire frame, which are doing pretty well in this meta, and the Peace of Mind specifically is an amazing one because you can craft it. Now on mine I have full bore and ricochet rounds for that good range, and I just like ricochet rounds. There's plenty of times where I can bounce some bullets off the wall, and that can keep people from healing for one, and it can sometimes pick you up a kill. You can also kill things like Titan shields from around a corner, although it is gonna do less damage on the ricochet bullets, but they're still pretty useful when you actually learn how to use them. Now on top of that I have enhanced perpetual motion, so the weapon's gonna get bonus stability, handling, and reload speed when the wielder is in motion for a short duration. And it's a pretty short duration, it's only a couple seconds, and that even can proc while you have your other weapon out. So I can have my shotgun out and be moving around, and then switch my Peace of Mind, and the perpetual motion is already ready. Now that gives us a lot of stability, and this thing barely gets flinched, which is very good in this meta, because I don't have a lot of resilience right now, and the flinch has been crazy if you're not building into resilience. Now on top of that, I have Elemental Capacitor, and that's enhanced as well, so that's substantially going to increase the stability since we're going to be on Void, of course, with our blink. So you can see my stability is at 73, and that's actually extremely good. 61 range on top of that with our full bore and ricochet rounds on top of a range masterwork I do have on this gun. I also have my Trials Memento in there, so we have this sick skin, so we can't go wrong there. After that, to finish this gun off, I do have a full auto retrofit. I prefer to put a full auto retrofit on most of my pulse rifles. The only one I don't use it on is the BXR Battler actually. I prefer to use that thing without full auto, but to each their own. I know some people do enjoy it. Now pairing with that, we're going to be using the Without Remorse shotgun. Now I do think that it is kind of hard to use lightweights right now, but I have gotten much more used to them again, and I still think that lightweight frame shotguns are the best thing to pair if you're going to be shotgunning with blink. Now that being said, if you're lacking any kind of light level right now and you go into trials, these can be very hard to get those one-shot kills with, and that is something that I have been running into quite often. But let's go over the roll that I have. Now I finally got this thing to level 8, so I was able to get all the perks that I want on it. So we have small bore and accurized rounds, that's going to give us a bunch extra range, and then I also have a range masterwork on it. That's going to bring our range all the way up to 72. Now after that I did go for enhanced hipfire grip. So you could go for, I think, threat detector in this if you want to, and I might switch to that, but I actually quite like hipfire grip, and on top of that I use freehand grip on most of my shotguns because I really like to be able to do those reliable hipfires. Now you should always be trying to aim down sights when you're using your shotguns, but I like having these two in conjunction so that when you do have to do those hipfire shots, you can get them off and have a much higher chance of one-shotting with them. Now after that I have Fragile Focused enhanced as well. This weapon's going to gain bonus range until the wielder takes damage. The bonus returns when no damage is taken for a shorter duration. Now I know the duration on the regular Fragile Focus is 5 seconds, and I'm not quite sure on the duration on the enhanced version, but I'm assuming it's somewhere between 3 and 4, but it could even be less, but don't quote me on that because I do not know the exact duration on that. To finish that off, we have Extrovert, and that's going to give us final blows while near multiple combatants, or near nightmares will restore health, so we can finish someone off with this shotgun and instantly start healing, and that's a pretty nice thing to have. The Fragile Focus is going to give us that nice boost. I think it's 20 range on this, so I get 92 range if we have Fragile Focus on our first shot of this thing, before we take damage. That's pretty great, and it's also a lightweight frame, so you're going to be able to shoot 2 shots pretty freaking quickly. Finishing that off, I have the Half-Truth Sword with Eager Edge on it, so we can kind of get some slashes with that, although I'm pretty sure I have not touched heavy all day. I don't really go for heavy much. I usually just let my teammates take it, because most people are leaning on their Galler horns, and if my teammates want to pick that up, I am more than happy to just relinquish that to them and take shots with my primary. Let's check out the mods really quick. So on my helmet, I'm going to have some pulse rifle targetings and taking charge so we can get that charge with light. In our hands right here, we have a shotgun dexterity and a quick charge. Now with quick charge, if we can get some double kills with our shotgun, we can actually get charged with light. But on top of that, since I have an arc mod slotted into my boots here, we can actually get Ever Ready, which is the secondary perk of this mod. And that's going to give 20 handling to our shotgun. I don't remember how much it is from the shotgun dexterity, but you can see here that I have 64 handling on this. So that's basically going to boost our handling almost to the max, which we're going to need so we can pull it out quicker. Although remember, when you have Astral Sight Verse on and you come out of a blink, it does boost your handling to 100. So when you come out of your blink, you are going to be able to use basically a pseudo quick draw, if you will, on any gun that you want to pull out coming out of a blink. But we also need to pull our shotgun out when we're not coming out of a blink sometimes, and that's why we need that high handling stat, and that's why I have these two mods on. Now on our chest armor here, we're going to have 2 unflinching pulse rifles, just to make that stability even crazier, make sure we're not getting flinched, and you'll see in the gameplay, this thing does not get flinched, and it feels amazing. On the boots here, we got a little shotgun holster to pick up some special ammo, and if we have our shotgun holstered, it can just automatically reload that, which actually comes in handy quite often. Powerful friends and whatnot on there, just so we have a bunch of stat boosts, and that very much comes in handy. Finishing off on our bond here, we have higher energy fire and utility kickstart times 2. That's going to let us get our rift back much faster once we use our rift, which is always a very nice thing to have. My stat distribution is not very bad right now. This is where I like to have my mobility around 60 to 70, not much higher for me, honestly, because when we have the lightweight frame out, that's going to give us extra 20 mobility, and that adds up to 80, and that's very much a nice place for me to be. Resilience I'd like to have higher, but unfortunately I can't really boost it right now. I'll need to get some new armor if I want to do that. 100 recover, of course, we want to make sure we have that, especially since our rift is our class ability. We need to get that as much as possible to get our clearance as well. 89 discipline, 1 away from 90. I'd love to get there if I could, and you're going to see we're going to be needing that today because I actually have Axion bolts on that I'm going to show you in a second. Now after that, 86 intellect. I do not need this much, but I do run Nova Warp, so honestly it is kind of nice to have. And then 36 strength, and you're going to get your melee up pretty often anyways. You don't really need high strength. All that being covered, let's go ahead and jump into our Void 3.0. Now looking at our Void 3.0 here, let's start with our super. I am going to have Nova Warp on. There's nothing wrong with running either of your Nova Bombs, and there is cap points only when you reach the time. So unless you go to overtime, you're not going to have to worry about cap points. And honestly, you will see cap points pretty often on this map just because people sit back a lot and these rounds go pretty long. People prolong them as much as they can, and it can be pretty annoying. So if you want to put a Nova Bomb on, I completely understand, because a lot of times if the match is quick enough, you're not even going to get to your Nova Warp. We have a Healing Rift, Blink, Pocket Singularity, and finishing that off with our abilities, we have an Axiom Bolt like I was telling you earlier. Now I've been a big proponent of scatter nades recently, and I would still say that those are probably the best nades that a Void Warlock has. However, Axions are still good. They've gotten many nerfs, they're easier to shoot now, they don't do as much damage, but they're still good for making people reposition, and they do 100 damage when they hit, and that's still really good. And it's mostly for utility, honestly. You're not throwing these to secure kills as much and whatnot. You're throwing these so you can get your enemy running away from you to a spot that you can actually get them in the open and take shots with your primary weapon. So it's not really about the kill potential with these, it's about putting your enemies out of position and either letting you push them or get a better angle on them. For our aspects, we're going to be our usual Feed the Void and our Child of the Old Gods, or Clarence, as you guys should know him by now. That's going to give us 4 fragment slots, and I don't ever like to run any kind of competitive game modes without these 2 aspects. Coming into our fragments, we have a very usual one down here, an Echo of Dilation. When we're crouched, we're going to get our Enhanced Radar, which is very, very nice, and you'll see in several plays I'm going to point out to you guys that I'm very often using that Dilation Radar to see exactly where my enemies are, especially on this map as people will split up a lot, and having that Dilation Radar can really help you track down exactly where they are and figure out where you want to push and when. That also gives us flat 10 mobility and intellect, so you can't go wrong there. After that, we have Echo of Persistence. That's going to make our Devour go from 10 seconds to 15 second duration. We lose 10 recovery, so make sure you're staying at 100 with that, but it's very much worth it to have those 5 extra seconds of Devour, especially when you're playing alone in a freelance playlist. You need to be able to have boons like your Devour as much as possible, and really be able to chain kills and be a one-man army as much as you can. After that, we have Echo of Remnants. Now this is going to make our Axiom Bolts chase longer, which is something that I'd very much recommend. I used to have Weakening nades on, which is another aspect. Right here, Echo of Undermining, but that does make us lose 20 discipline, and with a long cooldown already of 2.5 minutes on Axiom Bolts, I would rather have as much discipline as I want, so I traded that out for the Echo of Remnants, just so we could have those Axions chase longer than usual. To finish off our Void, we're going to have Echo of Expulsion, so when we get those Void ability final blows, it's going to cause the enemies to explode. If they are grouped up, this can often come in handy and help you clear out 2 or even the entire team sometimes. This is even better with something like scatter nades, for instance, but it can still be very good, and it also procs off of your Child of the Old Gods when it gets a kill, so that can be very nice as well. That's going to give us 10 intellect, which we don't really need, but again, nothing wrong with having it, and if it's going to give it to us, we're going to take it. So I think we have everything covered. Before we jump into it, I want to say thank you guys so much. We just hit 1,000 subscribers yesterday, today as of when I'm recording this, and just thank you from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate it, guys. It's absolutely amazing to see that number, and it's so weird to see just how fast we've grown in the past few months. So from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate it, and I can't wait to keep growing with you guys. But now that we have all that covered, why don't we go ahead and hop into some of these plays that I have. So when it comes to my strategy on this map, of course, we do have to use these pulse rifles. So I was playing pretty far back. When I could get aggressive, I usually would, but I was playing a lot more reserved than I did in certain other times. Now, of course, this was freelance, so that's very nice, but as you can see here, when I got a good situation where I could actually hit somebody really hard, I would shred them, throw the Axie on his follow-up, that hit that guy, and that shows how balanced hunters are right now. He's able to just blow me up by throwing 2 things, even though we only get to throw 1. But my teammates cleaned it up really well. And that's what I was doing a lot of times, especially in freelance. You want to be able to just get a pick before you go out. Get a trade at least. I usually try to get at least 2 if I can, so I had some damage on that guy, teammate finished him off, and I'm just looking for the other guy. Now sliding in here because I wanted to reload, watching my dilation radar, that's why I'm crouched, getting behind this guy, teammate does some good damage, and I'm just waiting to heal and to get around the corner here, just taking shots, sending my Clarence out there, and then pulling back really quick, letting the teammates follow up on me and my Clarence to take them out and to win rounds. And that's really what you need to do. Get your Rift down, get your Clarence, send it out there. The area denial on Clarence is always going to be absolutely insane. It's going to weaken, it's going to do a little bit of damage, and that's exactly what you need. And as soon as you have that out there, you need to think about how you can push it. So I get Clarence out there onto this guy, he falls back, I throw an Axie on to see if I can kind of chase him out, and I just go back to aiming. Now this guy kind of peeks a little bit, and unfortunately I can't quite pick them up. My teammates gets them enough time and space to get to that heavy. That's how I like to play for my randoms. I don't know their skill level when I go into it, and oftentimes it's quite low. So I try to just give them advantages like heavy, and give them the space to fight the enemy without me crowding them or taking their kills or anything. I saw that guy place a rift before, so I know I could get aggressive on him, so that's exactly what I did. Flew up on top of this hunter, was barely smacked, but I missed my shotgun there, so I just punched him in the back of the head a few times. Now that I saw this guy over here, I knew he was going to go for that res. He put another rift there. Take out this teammate that he had right here with some nice shots. I do have land tank after I get 1 kill. Each stack of land tank is going to give you 5% damage reduction, I believe. So when you have that land tank, you really want to start peeking. So you'll notice a lot of times when I get that first kill with my peace of mind, I'll go and look for the second kill even if I'm a little damaged because I have that damage reduction from the land tank. So you see here I have land tank for a few seconds, I'm looking for the next fight, take him out, I have land tank times 2, and that really makes me want to fight this third guy right here because I had 10% damage reduction from those first 2 kills. So keep that in mind. There used to be last season a little mod you could put on to extend that duration, but unfortunately that is gone. But that's fine, it's still good on its own, not very much duration, but still a really good perk to have on this gun. Now watch from here if you're going to be, people will really like to sit back there with snipers and high impact pulse rifles and hold range on you. So watch to your left, be using your radar, just like I am right here, I'm using my radar. I take the peeks on this guy, can't finish him off, but then I see them on my right as well, so I take the peek there. Now I had to use my blink to get over this rock and get right down in front of me, and I was stuck on my teammates. I didn't want to be grouped up with them too much and just get clobbered. So what I did is I turned around and used my blink to get across that entire lane without ever being shown, did a second blink just to get to the ground faster, and then snuck up on this guy with my shotgun, blasted his ass into a bunch of pieces, and looked for this last guy with a nice blink to surround him, but my teammates took him out before I even need to do anything. So you're really just trying to make sure you don't get grouped up too much with your teammates as well, especially in freelance, but even when you are queued with your buddies, make sure you're not clumping up too much, especially in later rounds where people have supers, maybe like Blade Barrage or Nova Bombs. You don't want to group up too much, and especially right now with the absolute grenade spam that can happen, just be careful. I take this guy out and I knew instinctively that they were going to be rushing me after they had those picks, so I blinked backwards and just got ready to shoot, and luckily these guys lined their heads up perfectly, and you can see how beautifully the peace of mind shreds right there. This gun is an absolute shred machine, and I have been going back and forth for a few pulse rifles today, but this one does feel very, very good. If you want to use a high impact, I definitely understand that, because there are some longer range fights you want to take on this map sometimes, especially when people are using snipers a lot, and you might have to do that, so keep that in mind. If you want to use a high impact, I can understand that. Now, when I could go aggressive with my shotgun, I had to be careful because I am a little bit light level lower than most people, but also it's a lightweight frame, so I'm also using it for the mobility to get on top of people. Now, if you're stuck on a Wither Horde like this, just play your time, chill out, don't freak out too much. But I saw my teammate was getting pushed, so I flicked over, shot him, had land tank, that made me wanted a challenge, but unfortunately I didn't get any use out of the land tank before I just had to run away. I probably could have got a res, but honestly, sometimes I like to 1v2 because it gives the enemy team a big sense of ego. They get really cocky because they think they can immediately just go and challenge you because you're a lone player. But you can see there, I took the first guy out, challenged him there, still had land tank when I first challenged him, and beat the shit out of him. He obviously doesn't have 100 recov like me, so he hadn't full healed yet. He ego challenged me, and I absolutely bopped his butt cheeks. Now you can see I start off some rounds by throwing an Axion just like that, and with some nice shots, absolutely finished that guy off. Hit another guy for 100 with that Axion, and knew I could probably push. Watching my radar, I saw they might be looking at me, but they weren't for the moment, but unfortunately they did it right when I went. Turned around real quick, took a nice blink, slid in, pulled my piece of mind out, and immediately started shooting. Remember, you get 100 handling when you go through that blink, so when you come out of it, if you need to pull out your primary and immediately turn around to shoot, make sure you're doing that, because you won't even need a quick draw on anything when you can take it out so quickly using your Astrosight first, passive. Now just looking right here, you can see I'm using my dilation radar sometimes just to kind of see where enemies are. I decided I wanted to fight with teammate and get aggressive with my shotgun, so I decided to just blast this guy, let the Axion finish him off, turned immediately around. I didn't know if I could trust my teammates to get these kills, so obviously we are 2 rounds down, so I was just going very quickly towards him. He gets bopped there. I did not want to pop my super here, but after the first shotgun kill I was out of ammo, so unfortunately I had to pop. We did end up losing this game, I believe, but always just use your supers if you're in a situation like that, because at least I took us to 3-4 and we have another chance to go to a higher round. If I didn't use it there, then I most likely just died and then we just lost the game anyways. So don't take your supers to the next DLC, just pop them. It's just better off getting yourself to the next round and seeing if you can extend that game. I had a nice arc on the Axion here, and now that was tracking, it hit him real good and I was able to finish him off. That Bliss kid was a pain in my ass, so I was happy to smack him. Now I was looking around towards Shrine because my first teammate was taken out there just watching his ghost, and I decided to get aggressive with the shotgun, blast this guy out of his invisibility, res my teammate, and then go onto this guy. Luckily my melee didn't whiff there. It almost did. He kind of jumped into it, honestly, and that was a nice little takeout there. Looking for the enemies, I started using my radar, and I saw they were on to my right here, but also a little bit in front of me. But then I slide in and use my dilation and saw they were all on B. I throw an Axion out there and saw this guy in front of me, take him out. I have land tank, but unfortunately I do need to back up really quick and just use my dilation radar to check where they are on this map. I thought one more might peek in front of me, and this guy actually, like a clown, just ran out. So I rushed this last one with my shotgun, and notice this blink. I went to the side of him. We are already 4 or 5 rounds into this match, so at that point I needed to switch up my blinks because I can't just come from above him anymore. So I blinked to the side of him to get a little bit more of a surprise factor and kind of confuse him as to where I was going to land exactly. Now you can see here Clarence is going off in there. It's always good to get him out as fast as you can, and I wanted to take a closer position here, especially if I could get any shotgun plays. Threw on my melee, did bop one back, so he's volatile now. Keep in mind that you make one volatile because you might be able to set that off. Now I wanted to blink to the side because I was stuck on my teammates. Like I said, I don't want to group up too much, so I came to the side and was just taking peeks, and I got around these guys really well. Put my head down there. Put your head down when you're going through a blink like that, because it's going to change your hitbox a little bit and make it harder, especially for snipers, to hit you. With some good blinks, I got myself out of trouble there, but I was kind of worried maybe we wouldn't win this round, but I was able to put a rift down, grab Clarence, check my radar, and saw this guy. Luckily got some good shots on him, and I knew Clarence would either finish him off or he had to run to the right side, so I just held on the right and waited for him to peek. Looking for the last guy, he got some good shots on me, but I was able to pull my shotgun out, get behind him, and absolutely smack his little cheekies, and that was the Bliss kid again, so I gave him a little shake of my head there. I was like, oh, no, buddy, not today. Now coming into this is a fresh match, so there's no strategy set up yet on the first round of a match. You know, nobody knows what the enemy team is going to play like, so that's when you really need to set the precedent for what you're doing, but also keep mixing it up in later rounds to kind of subvert those expectations. Got a nice Axion onto that guy, and in combination with it, chasing him out, I was able to take him out. He actually kind of blew himself up. I think a different guy did. And again, watch these snipers. Even if they do a little hunter roll like that, keep your aim on their head as best you can, take them out. But people love to peek from there, especially on the B, so make sure you're taking that little angle, but be very careful. Usually I slide into that peek just to change my hitbox a little bit. Now I was going in here and I was like, this is probably not the best place for me to peek. So I turned around, came over here, and I said, sir, I don't really care about your lowly splendor leaning on that Solar 3.0. I'm just going to take you out real quick. And that's what I did. The Solar 3.0 is a pain in the ass, but honestly, I had some pretty fun matches today. Now looking over here, I was using my radar again. See what I mean? Sliding into that left peak. Even if they're floating in the air like that, you can still get some good shots. And they're not going to expect you to fly around the corner as much as they expect you to kind of leisurely walk around it. blinking over to some cover here. There's a little piece of cover in front of you if you blink to that spot, but I didn't really want to be there, and I saw them enshrine, and I wanted to get my teammates res. I put a rift down because I saw my radar that I did have enough time, so then I blinked around this guy to try to get an angle. He started to peek me. I did pretty good damage, and that's when I decided to get aggressive, mostly because I saw my Clarence was also chasing him. Unfortunately, Clarence got stuck on the wall, but I was able to smack him and went straight for that res. Always get your teammates if you can, but don't be afraid to take those 1v1s, 1v2s. But I knew he was going to trade out a res, and that's exactly what happened. If that guy didn't have an overshield, I would have cooked him, but it was just a good thing that I didn't die. I ego challenged a little bit, but fortunately for me, he did not even peek, so it didn't really matter. Slid in and was just looking for these guys, saw the invis and was able to track him pretty well. Teammates finished him off with a little clap of the cheeks, and I saw this last guy and decided I want to get aggressive with my shotgun. Pulled that out, and unfortunately he did whip me pretty hard with that sniper shot, but I got an axiom before I died, which smacked off any kind of shield he had, and the teammates followed up. They did kill him, but I don't need to show you that. Now we're getting to into these plays here, so I want to say thank you if you watched this far. I really appreciate it. Again, we just hit 1,000 subscribers. If you want to join and help me get even higher than that, then I would really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. I've had a lot of fun lately, and I'm going to have 2 more Trials videos this weekend and every weekend that there is Trials. So stick around if you are enjoying the Trials content and you want to see more. And I have a bunch more content than this if you want to see some survival games or whatnot. I have a bunch of those. Some hour-long survival videos, 40-minute long ones. So I definitely have you covered there. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you're having fun in Trials too. Let me know how it's going for you. I had some fun. This are matches that I recorded in freelance earlier in the day, but then I went and played with some friends, and the matches were much more fun. A lot of solar crutching made it hard to get a flawless, but I'll try again on probably Sunday most likely. You can see here, I love that hipfire griff. Absolutely smacked that guy when he flew in without even aiming down sights and sat him the fuck down. I don't usually go cave just because when you peek outside the light is too much, but that was a fun one where I did and was able to get some nice shotgun plays. You see that guy jumps in, I absolutely smack him with a piece of mine. Avoided one Jotun shot, and then I was like, hey, nice, I avoided that Jotun shot. No, here comes the next one straight up my rectum. Luckily, teammate had a really good shield. And you're going to see I spawn here, and as soon as I spawned, I was just holding down my left and right click so I could start wailing on this guy. And it kind of worked out because we shredded him pretty good. He had to back up, and then I was just getting ready, checking what abilities I had, and saw this guy on the radar behind us. So I was getting ready to push him with a teammate, but teammate took him out. I heard the super pop. Usually my initial reaction to a super pop is to either use my super on them or to team shot. Unfortunately, he didn't want to get team shot by my teammates, so I just came around here and took out the other guy. Barely won that fight. I had to get my aim back on point, but I was able to pull it back to a good spot and take him out. Threw a little melee behind me there and was looking for them, and I saw this last guy, so I slid in and smacked him, and my teammates cleaned it up, and we do win this round and won this match. Again, though, this is the last clip, so thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave me a like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you want more in the future. And that is it for me today. Have a great day, Guardians.